worn and women's are.
During the summer, the New York theater scene traditionally slows down. This season, director Nicholas Heitner has assembled a group of actors that have taken this city by storm. The show is Twelfth Night, or What You Will is subtitle. Joining me tonight, director Nicholas Heitner, the three stars of the show, Academy Award-winning actress Helen Hunt, who plays the dual character Viola Cesario, Cara Sedgwick, who portrays Olivia, and Paul Rudd, who plays both women's love interest, Orsino. I am pleased to have all of them here to talk about what is a fascinating theater experience for lots of reasons, and I had the good fortune to be there last night. Welcome back.
Thanks, Charlie.
Let me talk to three of your stars, and I say to the audience at home that they're just three of the stars. This is a play that's replete with terrific performances by a range of people, but these three come because they're the central characters. And you got to get this. Orsino loves Olivia. Olivia loves Cesario, who's not actually a man, Cesario, but instead Viola, who in fact loves Orsino. If you get that, you've got a sense of what we're dealing with here. Why did each of you want to do this? What was the attraction? If he wanted to do it for one reason, what about you, Helen? I mean, you're busy enough not needing to come to Lincoln Center in the summer.
I'm a big fan of the playwright and the part. I had auditioned endlessly and gotten this part once before in La Jolla, at the La Jolla Playhouse, and then wasn't able to do it and was sort of heartbroken, and so had always loved it and was a big fan of our directors. So people have said, why would you want to do this? And to me, it's just sort of, I don't even know how to answer it. Just because I did. It was just the #1 thing I wanted to do.
Tell me about your character.
Goodness gracious. Tell you about my character. Yes. She and her twin brother are sort of the outsiders that I guess you could say bring the audience in a way to this very particular world with these very particular people. Right. And one of the things we worked on is how both of them, maybe she in particular, but certainly both myself and my brother's character, how they are different than these people. Maybe she has a sense of herself and her circumstance in a way that they don't. All the words that you come up with these plays, I just want to preface by saying, fall away like nothing, because the play is so big and full and rich and will be here so many ages after we're all gone that any attempt to talk about them I find really humbling.
And how hard is it to get your voice and get your head around those words?
It's, you know, it's a lot of the fun. I mean, the sort of scholastic book learning part of it was very fun for me. I spent a long time with 4 versions of before rehearsal started, with, 4 versions of the play and my Oxford Dictionary and my Shakespeare glossary, and just looked up words I didn't know and also looked up words I did know. And for example, I call Olivia cruel at one point, and I thought that's an interesting word, so I looked it up, and I figured, you think it means, I don't know, being hurtful to somebody else. If you look it up, it means someone who enjoys being hurtful to somebody else. So once you look up this word, and then it kind of puffs up like this popover, which forever is there somewhere in your head, and that's true of just about every word in the play.
How about you? Well, you just worked with Nick in a film.
Yeah, which was definitely one of the pulls. But I mean, any chance to work at Lincoln Center and on a Shakespeare production, especially with the people that were involved, didn't take too much thought.
Was it in a sense of an intimidating notion to be there in that place, display these actors? And
intimidating if I really thought about it. I think the challenge and just the excitement of being a part of it was a little more prominent, but than the fear. Until the first preview. and then all of a sudden that was really prominent. But yeah, I just think that it was a great way to spend the summer and just thrilling, and it, really the best way to learn and to get better. So.
What's the most, I mean, if you could just think about it for a moment, the learning experience that you think you'll most remember of doing this, of being a part of this?
Usually with, also in the last play that I did, what you really take from it hits you about 3 months or so after it's done, and it's sometimes something that you couldn't one couldn't predict. So I don't know. I really don't know what.
Yeah. Well, you'll know 6 months from now. Just quickly, your character that you play, who is he?
Orsino.
Yes, Orsino, who loves Olivia and Olivia loves Cesario.
It's different every night.
Every night is different?
Sometimes, but well...
Motivated by what? Just the sense of...
Well, I think sometimes that... one of the great things about doing a play and doing it 8 shows a week, you become familiar with lines and you become familiar with who you're working with, and different challenges arise. So sometimes to really create an organic moment, it just might go in a certain way, and if I guess to follow it through, it can create something really exciting. So sometimes the way I play the role is a little different, but the givens are, he's a duke and he loves her, and
even though he's only seen her probably once.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of love that I think Shakespeare's written about before. Romeo had it with Rosalind before, or is it Roxanne? Rosalind? Roxanne?
Rosalind. It sounded so smart.
For a second.
And who does he wind up? Juliet? Is that who he So, yeah, but self-indulgent love.
Cedric?
Yes. Start again. What's the first question?
Well, the first question is just simply
why?
to
Well,
doing
first of
Shakespeare,
all-
wanting to do this.
Well, first of all, I got a call that they wanted me to come in to audition.
Yeah.
And after auditioning for him many times before, I knew that it would be, no matter what, a really great experience.
A good experience, even if you didn't
just
get the
to
part.
audition, right? Exactly, just to audition. And so I went in and I met and we read, and I had actually never. I did Shakespeare in high school, and had never done it since, and was intimidated deeply by it. And so I worked very hard on the audition, and when I went in and we worked on it, I was very excited by his comments, by the way he saw the words, by the way he saw the play, and then, you know, when these guys were already attached, and of course, so I desperately wanted to do it. What's the second part?
No, let me ask you, did you have to rehearse for a long time with this? I mean, you split a month rehearsing or not?
6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah. And what was the purpose of reading the sonnets and doing all that?
I think a lot of
Comfortable with the language?
Yeah, a lot of these actors, these 3 guys, for instance, hadn't done it that often.
Yeah.
It's much, much less hard than people think it is, than audiences think it is, than audiences maybe think it should be. If the language, the way of feeling, the way of thought gets into the body, it can communicate very directly, which is what I hope we've achieved in this production. I sit in the audience and I don't feel the audience getting lost at any
Struggling.
point. No.
Right.
Yeah.
The only reason the audience gets lost is when the actors are lost. And so it seemed a good idea, a necessary idea, to come at it through a picture of the whole world of Shakespeare.
The interesting thing about reading about the 3 of you is that there's a huge amount of experience here, but not a lot of experience with Shakespeare. Question, why choose these actors? Because Marquis? Because you'd work with one or more? Because you knew there something? Or you thought the combinations worked, or what?
There's not an awful lot of American actors under the age of 35 who have a huge amount of experience with Shakespeare. It doesn't get done that often. I'll tell you something, there's not that many English actors, young actors now in their 20s, who are tremendously experienced with Shakespeare. What you're looking for is an intelligence, a poetic sensibility, a desire to work through the language, to use language as a friend,
right,
rather than some kind of obstacle to emotional expression. Many movies, many contemporary plays celebrate quite properly inarticulate people, people who don't speak well. These plays are about people who speak and think and feel in a way infinitely finer and in the end infinitely more interesting than we feel and think and speak. And these actors were all interested in you know what? Most actors are interested in speaking good words.
You know, the thing I find that's so unique to this experience is that I always felt that my emotions were at this very high level, and that the words were always down here, sort of a frustrating, you know, crumb gathering of what I was really feeling. And whereas the way I feel with these words is that my emotional place is here, and the words are right there with me, and if not, you know, better than me, certainly. And that's the first time that I'd ever been able. Usually the words are an obstacle, and this way they're not an obstacle. They're only, they're just the thing that you can use to keep putting on all the different facets of the character.
Helen, how was it to play a cross-dresser? How was it to play a male?
You know, I didn't know what Nick had in mind. Was I going to be doing also? I remember working on our scene in class, in acting class ages ago, doing all sorts of horrible boy acting. Good God, if you could show a clip of that, you'd have some comedy on your hands. But Nick's feeling was, tell me if I'm sort of representing your point of view correctly, but that in none of the plays where there are women who dress as men, you know, Cymbeline and As You Like It, and I guess Merchant of Venice, that never is there a time when someone goes, say, you're a girl, which points to the fact that he presumably wrote this in order to make an experience possible, in order to make relationships possible, in order for the audience and for these characters to behave in a certain way, in this case in order for this girl to have an adventure, I think. And so to dwell on, look how she's acting like a boy, would be interesting maybe for 45 seconds, and what's more interesting is to say, yes, that is so, now what? And because she is dressed as a boy, she gets close to someone she never would, she gets to speak in a way maybe she never has, she gets to feel what it's like to be on the other end of being wooed, all the things that she gets to do, and so it's an opportunity rather than something to wink and be jokey about.
And one of the, when you do Shakespeare and you're struggling with all this kinds of stuff, do you need more directing? Do you need more help than normal? I mean, are you looking more from Nick to say than you might be, say, even for
always
your
need a director, but yes, I would say you always need one,
here.
and I think I speak for everybody, and even, you know, the members of this company, some of which, Brian Murray, Phil Bosco, these people have done, you know, more plays than we've seen or something. I mean, it's the amount of experience that they have is staggering, and at the same time, I have to say one of the things I was the most impressed with, I've worked with actors who have worked as much as they have, and they just bring to the room a certain sense of, don't forget I was doing plays when you weren't born. And what I saw in these actors, who I have so much respect for, is that all of us were humble before. You'd be a lunatic not to be humble before these plays. So everybody, even those in the company with ages, literally, of experience, just wanted Nick's help so that they could help bring the play to life, and I found that staggering.
We help each other. It's not that under these circumstances the director ever has all the answers. It's the relationship between actor and director is two-way, and it's in a sense the theatre cat, if he could talk, would be a good audience to play to. Someone simply to say, I don't understand what you're doing here, so we have to find a... Well, I'm exaggerating.
I will think of you that way. The overqualified theatre cat.
It's just someone to say, I don't get this, I don't know what you're doing, you're not being clear. That job doesn't necessarily take so much brilliance.
Paul, did the sense that when you were doing this that you say, man, this is why I went into acting?
Oh,
the opportunity to do this kind of thing.
Sure, and you know, after every once in a while, there is just maybe, even if it's a moment, in one performance, and then 3 weeks later, there's another moment that I think, oh, that was, I felt something. Yeah, I mean there's a line, if it it came over my ear like the sweet sound that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odor. Just to be able to say that every day, and when you get to that place, when it feels like the way it sounds, it's an incredible feeling. Yeah.
Let me show a clip here. This is when Viola has just washed ashore and tells the sea captain about her plan to pose as a man. Here it is.
There is a fair behavior in thee, Captain. And though that nature with a beauteous wall doth oft close in pollution, yet of thee I will believe thou hast a mind that suits with this thy fair and outward character. I prithee, and I'll pay thee bounteously. Conceal me what I am, and be my aid for such disguise as happily shall become the form of my intent. I'll serve this duke. Thou shalt present me as an eunuch to him. It may be worth thy pains, for I can sing and speak to him in many sorts of music that will allow me very worth his service. What else may hap, to time I will commit. Only shape thou thy silence to my wit.
Be you his eunuch, and your mute I'll be. When my tongue blabs, then let mine eyes not see.
I thank thee. Lead me on.
Come.
What's the best moment for you in your... Is there a moment each night that you really look forward to? Where you grab her playing a man and say, how do I get you to the ground?
I have to say, yeah, I have to say to kiss her, obviously. It's the best moment.
I'm hoping.
But, no, I find the best moments actually are the soliloquies, to tell you the truth.
Do you?
Those are the things I look forward to, and I'll tell you why. You're out there on your own. No. You're out there on your, and there are times when Helen's on stage with me. It's the biggest challenge. It's the biggest challenge.
Music. What role does music play in this?
Oh, a bigger role than in virtually any other play by Shakespeare. I think there's no play with more songs, no play where they ask for music more often. Music is an image that's linked with desire and with the need for human contact, and it floats through the air of the play. Music and water are the two major images in the play.
Water, both in terms of the pool as well as the rain?
Well, we have water is a major feature of our world.
Yeah.
But water,
and also it's a seacoast town.
The action is started when the two twins, Viola and Sebastian, are washed up onto the shore of Illyria. But water becomes an image for volatility. Tears are constantly flowing. The rain. The wind and the rain finishes the play. The wind and the rain of the real world, whilst the four romantic heroes of the play retreat into a world of fantasy and theatre.
Crowley is really brilliant, isn't he?
Oh, he's the best designer at work in the theatre today.
I mean, it's just amazing what a set. I mean, it makes your...
The first day of rehearsal, they had a very exact model of the set, and Nick talked us through it, and I managed to get the words out. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I just couldn't.
The very first time, I remember actually the very first time we did it, and I jumped into a pool of water, and I was underwater, and in that split second before I have to, come up and say the line, I remember thinking there was an audience out there.
I'm on
over
Broadway.
1,000 people, and I'm underwater right now, and I'm in a play. It's just weird. And
Thank you, Paul. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun in college.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Nick, as always. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night.